This is a foreword from me, the author, Chris. Will Carver is about to embark on a huge operation with the 10th Mountain Division, tanks, A-10, Warhawks, and they're going to take out some key Taliban positions up in the Afghan mountains. So please enjoy. Fighting in the Rain, written by Christopher J. Robinson. The dark skies propagated stormy conditions as scattered raindrops began to fall and soak into the dry earth. The steep, craggy mountainsides were checkered with Taliban fighting positions. Down below, about one click, U.S. Abrams and Paladin tanks moved at a steady speed across the desert floor toward the green, earthen forms. Behind the tanks, soldiers from the 10th Mountain Division hurried to keep up. The rain began to pour harder as the battlefield filled itself with more mud. This would not be an easy day. Several Delta operators, including Will, aka Thratch, Carver, ran up to the tanks and climbed on the sides and shouted orders to the nervous crews inside to steady themselves for the upcoming battle. Now 27 years of age, Will was able to process information and scenarios much faster and more accurately. He also knew the mechanized fire crews had air support from above. The A-10 Warhawks pepper the Afghan mountains with their munitions, sending tremendous shockwaves into the valley, where Will and his task force were. Today's mission was to shake up things a bit and eliminate several enemy sniper positions in the peaks and cliffs of the mountains for bigger operations. The tank commanders riding inside the tracked vehicles ordered their drivers to slow their paces a little due to the infantry troops on the ground walking and taking cover behind them. The only troops moving amongst the lumbering vehicles were the operators directing the pace of the tanks. With the help of Delta, specialized in advanced mountain warfare, the conventional soldiers listened intently to the commands of Will and his boys. Like some of the other operators, Will sported a thick beard and wild, unkempt, tight, curly hair underneath a green, streamlined Kevlar helmet and headset. Attached to the headset was his interpersonal team radio and command net in case he needed extra permission from higher-ups. The latter he rarely used, only for emergencies. His dark skin and magic-keen eyes would have reflected the light from the sun better, but a pair of black Oakley sunglasses absorbed the glow instead. The uniform he wore consisted of a standard multi-cam top with one U.S. flag patch on each shoulder and faded black lightweight waterproof pants with pockets. The rig strapped to his chest and back was colored green and custom woven with an assortment of grenade and magazine pouches and other small accessories. He also sported his favorite custom foxtrot boots that continually aerated his feet during the summer and kept them warm in the freezing winter. Finally, the assault rifle he opted to carry for this mission was the H&K 416 with an EL-Tech holographic sight and an AN-PEC 15 mounted on the front and flash suppressor. He briefly lifted the sunglasses off of his face to wipe the perspiration pooling behind them. The Taliban were dug in pretty deep above them in the hills, but they would be flushed out soon enough. Then it all happened again. For this time, every available ordnance was dumped simultaneously. A loud explosion followed by several more as the mountain shook again and rocked, spewing molten smoke and ash off its sides. The soldiers and the tank crews watched in horrid awe as the world seemed to shatter above them. It seemed as if the entire Air Force was dropping all of its bombs down on the insurgent forces still hiding in their camps and caves. Meanwhile, Will found himself taking in the impressive view in front of him, but quickly snapped out of it. Over the deafening vibrations of the aircraft garage, he yelled to the soldiers behind him, "Cover the base to block their escape." He knew that like fire ants, the squirters or escapees not dead from the bombs would descend on them soon enough. In response, the tanks radioed back and forth to each other, and they solidified blocking positions in front of the troops to cut off any insurgents from squeaking through their ranks. Will jumped off the tank he was riding on and began directing the flow of traffic as the soldiers began filling in gaps, while the other operators took the lead in the attack, forming the perimeter well out in front of the tanks. As Will predicted, the Taliban started swarming toward the lower base of the mountain where he and his task force were, and before he knew it, bullets were ricocheting off the thickening ground gathering beneath his boots. Ignoring the normal human instinct to duck out of the way of the incoming Taliban fighters and hide, he instead ran toward the sound of battle with his guys. At first, he drew a bead on an enemy fighter 50 feet away, wildly running at him with an AK-47. Will unconsciously zeroed in on the man's torso and squeezed the trigger, knocking the soldier off of his feet. Then he turned about and screamed. They were breaking through at 9 o'clock, but there was no way the tanks could get in on the close action. His teammates quickly dropped another pair of fighters off to his left. Meanwhile, Will slowed slightly to aim and fire his weapon at two more insurgents coming in from the right of the tanks. They instantly fell from view, crashing into the rising muddy tide, their guns splashed and disappearing beneath the mud. Instantly gaining confidence, the soldiers waved behind the operators, flanked to the right of the tanks, and began returning fire with their M4s and saws, while the tanks pounded the hills with their ordnance, sending debris cascading down on the mountainsides and on top of the terrace. Then, a wave of fury swept over Will as he stomped through the soft earth toward the now retreating insurgents. Years of experience taught him to fear little, and if anything, the cowardice shown by the insurgents today really pissed him off further. After all, they came to die without cause or reason. Why come only to run away, he demanded if the terror was still alive. Will allowed his primary weapon to fall across his chest in perfect transition and withdrew a Glock 19 pistol from his chest holster and shot another terrorist in the face at 25 meters. Before he knew it, he was leading the charge and killing his way up the hill. In terror, the remaining insurgents fled and fell as the entirety of the United States war machine pursued them relentlessly. First of all, I would like to thank the men and women of our armed services for their unwavering dedication to our great country. May God watch over them and keep them safe. And lastly, all characters in this story are works of fiction and are to be taken as such. Please stay tuned for more.